Hey everybody, welcome back to Civics. And today we're going to talk about two things in particular. The first thing being executive orders, and the second thing being executive privilege, and kind of understand what those two things are and how they're different. The first thing, real quick, is executive privilege. Executive privilege is the idea that the president knows so much information, right, that the public might not need to know, right? Things that are of national security or stuff like that. And so the president can, in some ways, if Congress is asking for certain information from him, say, well, I'm gonna use executive privilege and say that that stuff can't come out right now because it could harm our national security, or it could cause like a panic or all this other stuff, and deny Congress the right to ask for that information. Now this is not a something that a president can always do, right? There have been instances where presidents have been like, "Well, I'm going to use executive privilege," and everybody was like, "No." So, for instance, when Richard Nixon was being investigated for his issues and crimes, he tried to invoke executive privilege to stop people from getting his audio recordings because he recorded everything that he said in the Oval Office. And he wasn't going to give the court system that was investigating him all those tapes. And so he's like, I have executive privilege. I'm saying no. And the Supreme Court didn't side with him on that in that regard. They were like, no, you have to. This isn't a national security thing. You need to give us the tapes. But they did say that if there was an issue of national security, the president, of course, could use executive privilege. So there's kind of this nuanced kind of when they can use it, when they can't use it, what it's possible to use it on, what it's not. So that's executive privilege. Now, executive orders are an entirely different thing. Executive orders are signed directives from the president to the rest of the government, and these are all public. You can actually look them up whenever you want because it's part of the federal public record. And executive orders are basically just the way the president officially tells the bureaucracy that he runs how they're going to implement laws or if things are changing and stuff like that. And they do have the force of law. So he is able to, if he writes this executive order, it basically creates new law. Or not doesn't create new law, but it changes the way the law is interpreted and is used by the government. So, for instance, let's say the Congress passes a bill saying where it's no longer allowed for people under the age of 16 to have uh, TikTok, right? That's something that's come up recently, which is crazy, right? So they're saying people under the age of 16 can't have TikTok. Well, the president might write an executive order, right, and say, well, that's what Congress said, but I actually really don't like TikTok. So we're gonna enforce it in a different way, or this is how we're gonna enforce it. Or he might say which department is gonna be in charge of enforcing it, that kind of thing. That's what an executive order is for. Um, so that's what executive orders are. If you want to know or you want to see executive orders, you can go read them. I'll link the link in the description. But it's the federalregister.gov. You go there and you can look up any executive order that's ever been written since the 80s, I think is what they have up there. And I just pulled a few down that I thought were really interesting just from the last couple, just to kind of give you a scope of what they're used for. So, for instance, Executive Order 13,758, that was done by Obama in 2017, and that just updates the requirements to earn a Purple Heart. Like, that's all the executive order does. So it's just saying, hey, we're updating the requirements to get a Purple Heart. Here are the new requirements. So that's an executive order. That's something an executive order would do. The next one, 13,952, that was written by Trump in 2020. And that one says that hospitals must provide medical screening and stabilizing care to all newborns, even if it is determined the baby will not survive. So he's basically saying that if a baby is born, hospitals can't deny that newborn medical screening even if the doctors think the baby's not going to make it, right? You have to still go through the motions and do the things that need to happen for any patient that you would have. And then finally, number 13,518, that was from Obama back in 2009. And that one said that basically outlined guidelines for hiring veterans in the federal government. So they were saying we should make it a priority to hire veterans in the federal government. I want all agencies to work on how to get more veterans into the federal workforce. And that was part of the things he was doing to stop the Great Recession in 2008. So those are kind of the things that executive orders are for. They're kind of like really important memos that are actually law. So you got to follow them. But executive orders can be used for all sorts of different things. So those are just some examples of what executive orders can do. Thank you so much for watching this video about executive privilege and executive orders. They're both two very interesting, and right now they're seen as very controversial things the president can do, right? Some people see executive privilege as a way for the president to keep information from the public, and a lot of people find that executive orders are ways for presidents to skirt Congress by changing things that they can change without congressional approval. And so oftentimes executive privileges or executive orders can be stopped by people suing the government, saying that that's not okay. And they've gone to court for those sorts of things. So that kind of stuff happens as well. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe. That's great. It helps me make more videos, more stuff for this channel, especially if you're learning something. It'd be really nice to get your support. Thank you. Have a good day. See you next time on Civics.